Well, hi there, greetings, and thank you for joining me today. Hope wherever you are, life is treating you well. Now, a wise man once said that you're really only ever a couple of steps away from improving your life for the better. It's just finding what those steps are to make maximum improvement for minimum effort. And I guess by the same token, you really only ever a couple of steps away from absolutely ruining your life. But we're going to keep this an upbeat video. This is about making my life better in this video. So with that in mind, I love cycling, and I'm forced to commute to work and back again, of course. So I thought, well, how can I make things better for me? Cheaper, certainly. Well, I can do more cycling. If I go on public transport to work, any way you think of, whether it's tram, train, bus, it all has a cost. And if I do the quickest route, that's the train, bus and train, that's over £15 a day in commute costs. I could do without spending that. I used to cycle. I cycled a whole lot more, and I want to get back to that. So I thought, you know what, it might be time to upgrade my bicycle fleet, add to my bicycle fleet. I never get rid of a bicycle unless I made a very, very good offer, of course, and or unless a bicycle really truly isn't appropriate to me. Well, up to this point I've had two bikes. I've got a road going, a tourer bike, and you've seen that on the channel before when I fitted an electric motor to it. It's not running an electric motor at the moment. I wanted to iron out a whole bunch of other problems it's suffering from and then maybe return to the motor later on. But that aside, so there's that. That's my main one. And then there I have a folder, a Deo folder, which folds down really neat, and it's great for travelling on the tram because they won't let you on the tram if your bike doesn't fold. So it's one of those that gives me a lot of satisfaction without having to go to the expense of buying a Brompton or one of the or a Pashley or something. The bike folds up dead small, but it's a horrible bicycle to ride because the saddle sinks on you continually, and there's nothing I can do to really stop it without altering that frame completely or maybe causing damage. Two tubes, one slots in the other, and then the tube slots into the frame. Yeah, there's nothing more irritating than slowly becoming more and more uncomfortable as you ride, as the saddle sinks ever lower, and then you have to stop, push it back up again, and yeah. So if you're designing those sort of bicycles, you may want to give it some thought. Quick release grips aren't the best option because they fail, because they're quick release. Far better to have a long saddle stem. But I thought, you know what, it's time to move on. So I went on eBay. Just under £18, I bought a frame. Now, I know what you're thinking, well, that's not a bicycle, is it, Matt? But what a frame. So this new to me frame, I had to go to Solihull to pick it up from the previous owner. It's a Enguie T14. It's called T14 folding bicycle, and I'll show you the picture of it. Now, what drew me to this bike? Well, a number of things. The suspension is one. I do like a comfortable ride. I've had comfortable bicycles before. I had a recumbent, a German-built recumbent. It was very good, very comfortable. I'd ride it miles, so I know what I'm missing when I ride my more reasonably priced bicycle. Normally, I wanted something comfortable again. Yeah, I can get caught in a storm, but we have shower facilities at work, and I can always take dry clothes in a bag, you know, which is the best way to avoid having to sit all day in damp clothes when you get caught in the rain. The other thing is it's economical to cycle into work and then take for a couple of pounds the train home. Yeah, I know there's a cost to that, but sometimes you've got to treat yourself, haven't you? So, what do I like about this bike? Well, say the suspension and the fact that on the back it has a massive area where you could put a seat as initially designed. not the best of ideas. There is a facility to add little footrests for your passenger, but who wants to take a passenger with them to wherever? You know, the kids aren't young anymore. Their knees drag on the ground. I'm not ever going to do that. But what it will allow me to do is carry a lot of luggage, or put a basket on the back, and I can carry. Frankly, with this bike, when it's all up and running, I'll probably take an enormous bag of cat litter home from the shops. That's what it will allow me to do without breaking out the trailer. And there's lots of times, little journeys here and there, little journeys to pick up big items where you'd sooner not break out the car, because when you run a car a short distance, you're causing damage the first 10-15 minutes of your journey. The oil's starting to circulate and it isn't fully protecting the engine, which is why they say it is better to go on a longer journey if you can, to try and do multiple things within a journey. Or better still, don't start it at all and just take the bicycle out. Now, I'd love to say I had the money for one of those Netherlands style delivery bikes, the cargo bikes. Maybe one day, but for now this will do. So let's have a look at the fine details. Now, the frame is in good condition. There's no rust or anything like that. It is a very heavy frame, very heavy indeed, and this is without the motor, without the battery, which will add an awful lot of extra weight. There is that small matter of the damaged seat post clamp area, but that'll be a small matter to weld that up and fix that. I started adding components already, the brakes of course, and I've got some new ones of these coming, some new grips coming. The crank set, I've changed that out for one with actual working folding pedals. The original crank set appears to have been bent. Now, what this thing has going for it is, well, an awful lot of suspension. It's got suspension on the back, suspension in the middle, and suspension on the front forks as well. And I guess if you have springs in your saddle, you've got suspension there as well. The original build for this thing has solid wheels, solid alloy wheels. I think they're solid alloy or plastic, I don't know. Those are not present. As you can tell in the picture, it's just the frame. Just the frame and the bottom bracket and the crank. That's what came with it. All the other components missing. It used to be an electric bicycle. All that's missing, of course, and so what I'm going to do is to restore this to a usable condition. First of all, get it just riding without battery assist. It is heavy. Once I've done that, I will add power later on. I will either get a mid-mount motor or change out the front wheel for the front hub rather for a hub motor. It's once you've got all the other components working, it's relatively straightforward to do. Now, the designers clearly had something nice in mind when they designed this, having a seat on the back. So it's the ideal bicycle for parents to take their kids to school and back. In this area, and when I was taking my youngest to school, I'd see a lot of parents cycling cycling is probably the wrong word, riding their kids to school on the powered Enguie, sitting on the back or on the handlebars, cigarette in hand. This is how they roll, and I think, don't smoke around your kids, but I do like the bicycle. I wouldn't want to take my kids on this bicycle because there's a lot of risks. There's no protection on the wheels by design, and it could probably do with that, because if your kid gets sitting on the back there and gets their feet involved in the mechanism, well, they could end up with scars for life. The crankset is the cheapest possible. The bean counters got involved, and whilst the design might have been with the best of intentions, it's something nice. The crankset doesn't bear that out. It was jammed in place on the bottom bracket stick on the crankshaft. I managed to unlock it with my tools, but you can tell that because it's cheap, because it's thin, it's bent either during use or whilst it's being manhandled. So I managed to bend it back into some reasonable shape. It was worse than this. Cleaned it up quite a bit, and it will sit in stock just in case. It's a just in case part, not a regular use part. It's a get you out of trouble part. But it's weird because for some reason they decided to give it a non-standard thread here. Non-standard as far as I'm concerned, because this isn't a normal thread for normal pedals, which means you're going to struggle to buy new pedals. The pedals that came with it were plastic on plastic, plastic bearings within plastic. I'd never seen that before. The cheapest possible folding pedals, absolutely ruined. And I don't think they saw more than 6 months use. Just looking at it, because the bicycle frame hasn't seen any major damage that you'd expect from being in use for some time. They've just worn out really, really quickly. Now, if I'd had that, well, okay, it's irritating. I'd have changed out the crankset immediately. But some people, if they don't have the skill set, they just ride on it, stand on the pedals, do whatever they can to get by with it until they can do no more, and then they throw it aside. It's very wasteful. I don't approve, but I appreciate not everyone's as capable as I am. But yeah, so cheap parts. There's quite a few of them, and I imagine the motor was probably a cheap part, which is probably why it isn't still present. And one could say the same of the front wheels. Solid rims, solid rims with a hub motor. That's the normal spec of these things. You could put what you want on it, really. Be fun to see how this goes, wouldn't it? What else to be said? Well, I've purchased, I'm waiting for delivery, on one solid bicycle saddle tube. I don't want this collapsing on me. I'm not going to be folding it down, not much anyway, because the amount that this frame will fold, if I do want to take it on a tram, it will fold well enough for that. It won't get thrown off. They throw you off if you try and get on the tram with a bicycle that doesn't fold, which is a bit mean, frankly. There's lots of room. Still, I bought a brand new saddle. So yeah, I went to Halfords. £15, cheap as chips. They do others. In my local Halfords, it's the Cell Royale brand. I don't know whether that's the main brand or whether that's one of the Halfords alternative brands. More expensive isn't necessarily better. I've had a Cell Royale saddle in the past, but it wasn't as comfortable as I'd like. In fact, it cut off the blood to places it should never lose blood supply. So I decided to ever since go with the cheaper saddle. I've also had an expensive saddle stolen. Yeah, it's Wolverhampton for you. So yeah, you might as well just get some cheap and reasonably comfortable. What I struggled with was the wheels, the 14-inch wheels. Now you'd think they're all over the place, but they're not. There are children's bicycle wheels which are sold with the children's bicycles, and generally though you're not expected to need a new set of wheels because they're quite robust for children. So the manufacturers don't sell a spare wheel, and you won't find them in the likes of Halfords. You might find them in a smaller bicycle shop at Wolverhampton. Our Wolverhampton bicycle shops don't sell them. Not in my experience. I've struggled in the past with components. So I went online, and after a lot of searching, I finally find I can buy the 14-inch rims with varying numbers of spoke holes and appropriate front and rear hubs to go with that. With this bicycle frame, it runs disc brakes. It's modern. It runs disc brakes, either hydraulic or manual. It doesn't really matter. But it runs disc brakes. There's no real easy way to run the old caliper brakes. It doesn't do that. So you have to run with the the disc brakes, which means you have to be quite specific about the sort of hub you buy. You can't get away without one of the wheels having a brake. You have to have brakes on both wheels to be legal in the UK. So struggled with that, managed to find 2 hubs that should work, and I'll have fun building those wheels in due course. Once I've got it running as a robust commuter, then I'll just start thinking about electrifying it, of course. But I've got a lot to look forward to. And yeah, it's not daunting. I do enjoy building a wheel. So hope to see you here soon anyway. So whatever you do, thanks for watching. Have a great day. See you soon, and bye for now.